What is up, everybody? Chlorine King here. Thanks for tuning in for another video. In this video, I'm out on a trouble call for a Jandy JXI gas heater for a check flow error. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you the process to diagnose and some remedies to fix it, and ultimately, hopefully, a fix to get this thing back up and running for the clients today. So stay tuned. So you can see we got the heater now opened up. You want to open the side of the heater without the electronics. If you open up the other door of the heater, there'll be a bunch of electronics here. You don't want that side because you want access to this water pressure switch, which is on the non-electronic side. So it's either going to be a bad pressure switch or possibly bad TRV. We're hoping it's just a pressure switch here, but there's a couple things we can do to verify, is it a bad pressure switch or whatnot. So the first thing we want to look at is, how are the connections for these flag terminals that are contacted on the pressure switch? Because if they're corroded or not making a good connection, that could basically fake the system into thinking there's not a pressure switch or water's not flowing through the system, and you'll get that check flow error. The second thing is, it could be just a bad pressure switch. We'll figure out what that is through the diagnosis process. And then lastly, the third thing with the water pressure switch, see this copper tubing that goes over to the header, and if that's clogged or whatnot and not sending water up to the switch to recognize water flow, then the heater's going to give that check flow error. So let's go ahead and just start diagnosing some things and see what we find out if we can't get this thing up and running. So since we're messing with the heater, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and turn the breaker off. So that way with the electronics, we're not risking blowing a fuse or damaging the heater. So the first thing I'm going to do to diagnose this is take these flag terminals off the pressure switch, and I'm going to jump them to basically bypass this pressure switch to see, can we get the heater to fire without the pressure switch in play, because that'll give us a better idea, you know, where to go from there. Is it the pressure switch? Is bad TRV? We don't know yet, but let's go ahead and get started with the diagnosis. The first thing, pull these things off, jump them, and see if the heater fires. You see I got my trusty jumper installed. Be careful when you're pulling the contact or the flag terminals off the contacts here, because this really isn't anchored into anything, and it'd be very easy to just destroy that if you're yanking on it. So just be very careful when you're pulling those flag terminals off. I can see some corrosion on these contacts, so I'm hoping that's what all this is today, is just some bad corrosion in the contacts to basically make the system think there is no switch or no water flow. But let's go ahead and turn the breaker on and see if this heater fires. So let's turn that breaker on. See what happens here. Oh wow, the fan's coming on. That's a good sign. Before we were getting this check flow right here where it says water in 76 degrees. So it seems like it's going to fire up. So let's give it a second and see. Because if it's that, then we know it has something to do with the pressure switch, whether it be the bad contacts, the switch itself, or that copper tubing that's going over to the header clogged or whatnot, not allowing water to get up there. It's taking a minute to fire. I started to click. Oh, just came on. All right, so now it's been running for a few. We're going to go ahead and verify it is putting out some heat. You can see it's climbing, so it absolutely is putting out heat. That's a great thing. All right, so I'm going to turn the breaker back off to the heater, shut all the electrical off in the heater. And what I'm going to do now, I really think it might be the contacts, because this one looks pretty corroded compared to this one. So what I'm going to do is take a wire brush, clean this off, clean off the contacts here in the flag terminals, and reattach them to see if we can't get it to fire, because it might be just the corrosion. I apologize for the wind, guys and gals, but got the contacts back on. So now what we're going to do is turn the breaker back on, see if it manages to fire now with the contacts clean, because that would be a great thing. Let's see what it says here. No error code. Wow, it fired right up. So that could be awesome. So I think in this case, it's just the contacts were corroded, not giving a good signal. But let's see. All right, ladies and gents, you just heard that thing fire up. So it looks like in this case, thankfully, it was just as simple as the contacts being dirty. You can see this. Let's go ahead and test this real quick. Definitely see it climbing up there, so it is absolutely heating. So in this case, I'm not sure if this heater is under warranty or not, but if it is under warranty, I'm going to go ahead and get that water pressure switch replaced, just because. And if not, we're going to present it to the customer and let them decide on what they want to do. But as of right now, this heater is working just fine. So you guys and gals are probably wondering, what would you do further if it wasn't as simple as these contacts being corroded, causing that issue we're experiencing? Well, the next thing I would do is shut the pump off, and I would remove this copper tubing from the bottom of the pressure switch. You just undo this nut here, and basically the copper tubing will pull away. And then what I would do is run the pump again and see if water freely shoots out of that tube there. And if it does, we know the tube being clogged isn't a problem, because that tube goes out of the heater and goes over there to the header. So if that's not getting the water and sending water up to the switch, that would be a problem. We'd have to figure out what to do from there. But if not, and water's shooting freely through here, then it's just a bad pressure switch at the end of the day. So those are the three things you got to look for. Check the contacts, check the water flow, make sure we're getting good water flow to the switch. And if all those work and this is jumped and it fires, then it's just a bad pressure switch. So hopefully that helps. I'm gonna get this thing buttoned back up and close out this video. All right, everybody, so that is it for this video. That is how you diagnose a check flow error for the Jandy JXI heaters. This heater is up and running today, and all we did was clean the contacts off the water pressure switch. And this thing is purring again like it should. So let's recap what took place, what to do, and all that fun stuff. So I originally came out here for a check flow error for the Jandy JXI heater. You immediately need to identify the water pressure switch, which is exactly what we did. And then what I did was I took the water pressure switch completely out of the equation and jumped the system, basically bypassing it, and it fired no problem. So I knew it had to do something with the water pressure switch. So then I went on to my three little things I would typically look for. First thing, from easiest to most labor intensive, I checked the contacts. I noticed they were corroded. It was very difficult getting those flag terminals off. So clean those up, put it back on, it fired right up, problem solved. This was a simple diagnosis. If that wasn't the case, then I would have checked that copper tubing that comes off the header of the heater and up to that water pressure switch, and make sure that adequate water flow is coming out of that tube with it removed from the bottom of the pressure switch. If it didn't give water flow, then we would have to figure out why it's clogged. And if it did, then we know at the end of the day it's just a bad pressure switch. So start with the easiest things first always, and then end with the most difficult. But we lucked out today. This thing's purring well, and I hope this video helped you guys. Stay tuned for more videos, like, subscribe, check out the links below. And if you guys need any help with your business, I'd be happy to help. I want to keep giving back to this industry that's been so good to me and my family. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one. Have a great day.